Hey everybody, Jarrett Young with Young Land Designs here. Wanted to make a quick video to show everybody who have existing fig trees or know somebody with existing fig trees how to propagate off of them. Now is the best time of year, and by now I'm talking about right at the beginning of February, late into January, when it's gone completely dormant. You can see now that none of the new green growth is coming out of it. We just had a hard freeze that knocked it back, but everything's fine that's growing with these trees. So when we go to take our fig cuttings to propagate them, we want to look at stuff that's a little thicker than a pencil thick. So this one right here, you can see compared to my pinky finger, it's pretty thin. It's probably right at a pencil. I want to kind of avoid those to give them a little bit longer of growth to come out on them. The other thing we're looking for is realistically pruning and shaping the tree through this same process. You don't want to just come in here and just start cutting without a goal in mind for the existing tree. One of the big ones you can see toward the back is that big, long, crazy stalk that just came up out of that. That's going to allow everything to only grow at the top and branch out from up there, and I'm too short to reach there, and I'm not hopping on a ladder to do so. So what we're going to do just to start is come back and find a relatively, switch to my bigger pruners, and find a much shorter spot to cut it back to, which I like how it started developing this branch that comes off from this major trunk. So I'm going to cut it back to there and have sharper pruners next time to snap that branch off, and that will allow it to grow more and produce more. But I'm not done with that branch because it's still a great healthy branch that is newer growth that came out to go ahead and prune off of and give it a shot to propagate the following year or this season. So we're going to come in and cut at least, this one's not quite, but you want to be around 6 inches in your prune that comes off of it. That way when you go to stick it in the dirt, plenty of it is above the soil line to grow outwards. Now all we have in here is just a basic soil mix of composted pine bark and perlite. And it's really as simple of, I don't need to add rooting hormone or anything like that, but it's as simple as push it down into the dirt and just pack it in around it. And we're going to do about 20-25 in this pot with the expectancy, as we're taking care of it, to end up with about 80%. I always shoot for around 80% when this, but the odds are you're going to get 90, 95 because they're very easy to start. Right now, like I tell you, is a great time because we're going from this cold that we just had down here in Louisiana all the way to 70 degrees next week. So it will stimulate these trees to really start trying to get into that growth and push those roots out. We're looking at a time of about 4 weeks before the teeny little roots will start coming out of it. And then you want to add another 4 weeks past that in order to transplant them into their own individual pots with a decent enough root system. As the process goes, we'll hopefully edit this video in order to show you step by step, as we rooted them, what it looks like. When I was talking about they just calloused over and made new roots, we'll pull one or so out, and then we'll show you the stage where we're actually transplanting out, which will be, like I said, around the 8 weeks from today part. And then, it'll show you how we pot it for our final product, and the rest is just time of growing out. But we're going to go ahead and take some more cuttings from the tree. These are an LSU gold fig. I'll show you why. The ones I like pruning and all to help use because they're not necessarily the best branches to have. So the first branches that we're looking at are all these branches that really grow just straight downwards and all that. Those aren't the best to have on the tree because they're lower to the ground. The rain will splash back up on the leaves and you can get diseases created that way, the whole 9 yards. They're underneath a canopy, so the sun's not getting to them as well. You're not getting great photosynthesis going on through those leaves, so it's not as healthy as it could be. So you want to just go in and start looking for those branches and just cutting back to remove that downwards growth. And instead of chunking it away, you know, why not? Let's just go in and find this portion of it, cut it, and then we go, well, he's only cutting just that. No, it doesn't matter. While we're doing it, let's play with a little bit more, and you can take back. Now, these are a little bit older wood and all that, so the odds of it doing it are a little bit less, but it could still be possible. But for the video, we're just gonna go ahead and discard that because we got so much more that we can do. And it's just push in, pack around, and start building the whole pot out and all, because the roots aren't gonna be tremendously, you know, circling in the pot and root bounding or anything like that in this short period of time that we're gonna be having in here.
So you're putting about 50% of it in the soil.
Yeah, yeah. And it doesn't have to be 50%. If you only have, if you have a shorter piece, you can go for 30%. You know, that's fine. 25%, just depending the area that you have. You know, the other things that kind of help, you can see the little growth nodules as it's staged upwards. All those, for every one of those, typically is a better chance for roots to come out. But let's go with a 6-inch piece. You know, that's a good proper distance right there, you know, to make a cut. And then we can bury a minimum right here. I'm gonna go to right here, just on mine, just because it's just, I'm just doing that, you know. And there's nothing special. I don't have some secret you don't know about or anything like that. But even this is exactly probably a pencil thick and all. You know, it could be a little bit bigger and better, but that's what we have. That's what we're gonna work with. Now, this branch would be the one growing downwards. Typically, I'd want to remove that, but it curled upwards so much that I'm fine. I'm going to remove the one on top of it because that one just went straight down. But the beauty is now I have all these great pieces to use. Now, this piece is forked and all that. So will it make a difference? No. It'll work just like the others and do just as fine. And you'll just have a starting break in the branch as it's growing upwards and all that. Now, this is a great piece in size. I cut right under the growth node. That way there's just an extra one there. But that's, the thickness is great. The length is great. You know, same as this one. Try to get it, you know, almost as straight as I could possibly get it. That one would make a great one. And it's just plug and play. No differences. Anything going on special that you don't know about, you can't do as a home gardener. Now, a lot of these cuts you're seeing I'm making off the tree. You know, that I cut a big branch first and then I go and take them off and on. It doesn't have to be. You can have a very pretty grown, you know, claw-like structure that's coming out right here, and you can just cut and cut and cut and cut. And what that's going to do is make even more branches come out to set even more figs at that height to keep your tree nice and shaped, easy for you to prune and pick from.
Right now you're pruning for disease, shape, the structure you're looking for. Correct.
You know, more for making it look pretty and for health. I've definitely let it overgrow to a much bigger than it needed to be. Big one. Let's use a lower one. Now this is also going to remove a lot of the weight from the tree. I hate to lose a lot. That way the branches, as you can see, they grow out so far. If you have all these branches toward the end, the weight's going to start pulling it down, and a lot of people that have figs know that it just lays on the ground. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because it'll start rooting, it'll give it a little bit extra nutrients from the roots. But just remember, you're getting so close to the ground that any splashbacks coming up will make it a lot easier to develop diseases and funguses growing on the tree. Not really. And then I'm going to go ahead and just bring my tree back in here to reduce the strain pulling on my tree. And like I said, all these branches that I'm cutting down here, I'm going to also add to the pot just for the fun, because you know, you personally at home might only need 2 or 3 trees you're trying to develop, but why not have the backups, the guarantee? You know, let's say you know for some reason you only got 20% of them to root. Well, if you only put 2 or 3 because you wanted 2 or 3, who knows? You know, you might not end up with what you wanted. So always do extra and more if you have the space, because it doesn't hurt.
You can always share with your
And
neighbors.
share with your neighbors, because they like to come and eat figs too. Same thing, a whole new growth branch that just came up. I want to find my average height that I'm in, cut it, that way it can start making these claw-like structures. They're called auxiliary branches that come out of it and keep me all at one height to grow.
What about these branches right here that you cut that were oak trees? Is it okay to leave these in here if that happens? Should people rip them out?
You definitely don't want to do like me and let them get this big. That's a very bad idea, because what's happening is the oak tree is rooting out and pushing itself up, affecting the root system around the fig tree that's already here. It's bushing up, it's getting worse and worse. But it happens a lot, especially with bigger trees, larger trees, because you're not going to just crawl through there and try and pull out the little shoots that are coming up. When you have giant oak trees around you that are dropping acorns and all that, it's just not the best thing.
So with this one right here, this small one, you just gonna come in and cut that at the base?
I'm gonna too, yes. Is it what I recommend? No. Come in here with a little bit of a shovel and try and dig out that branch and all that to save it. The whole reason we're propagating right now to make this is because we're moving to a hopefully bigger facility here shortly, and I'll be able to transfer this tree that's done so well for me, produced so well for me over the years, to that property by cloning this existing tree. So I'm just cutting and removing, the lazy man's way of cleaning up around the tree. We got a lot of cool new growth that's going to just explode next year like those other ones that we had. You can also start looking in and saying which branches serve no purpose or bad purposes to help aerate the inside of your tree. You know, you can try to either keep them or cut them off. This one I don't quite like, so I'm gonna cut that one off, and that's more personal preference, nothing real saying. This growth right here, I don't like this side growth coming off of it, but I'm gonna leave the main branch because it's coming out to fill in an empty area right here growing. And like I told you, the branch right here is starting to develop different branchings off of it, but to help speed it up, if it didn't have it already like this, I would just come in and snip it, and it would promote it to start making all the different branch nodes coming off of it. And so that's all we'll be doing to clean this up just a little bit more and to take care of this fig tree. We'll see you in the next one whenever we can start showing you that they rooted out and it started to develop, and the follow-up videos from there.